And you'll see something there, Marchesi, Vocalese #1, and the subtitle of it is Messa di Voce, which is a technique of swelling the tone and then going down. So you see it starts with this long whole note, it crescendos to about halfway through, and then decrescendos back down. And that happens throughout the piece. So, on A, starting off, piano, crescendoing to about a mezzo forte, and then coming back down. Building, back down, again. Terrific. And we are going to distribute a little exercise for you. And as you get it, you will notice something immediately about it, for better or worse. So you notice that we get lots of different meters. But because there's nothing in there that says something like quarter note suddenly equals half note, or quarter note suddenly equals dotted quarter note, we know that the quarter note remains steady. Whenever you have a piece of music with shifting meters, where the main beat stays steady, the key is to almost always ignore the meter and just pay attention to the rhythm. It's different if it switches from, say, 2/4 to 6/8, where there'll be something funky that happens, most likely. Here, the only thing to know is that most of the time, the stress would come on the important beat of the measure. For instance, in the first measure, the first beat and maybe the third beat. In a 5/4 measure, it would most likely be either beat 1 and beat 3 or beat 1 and beat 4, depending on how the composer set it up. But just on da, da, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. Da 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 da. All right. And the sight singing does the same thing. Brings us between lots of different meters. And again, pay attention to the rhythm rather than the meter. Do, do, just do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ready, and da. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and do, mi, sol, mi, fa, mi, re, do, mi, sol, mi, do, re, mi, fa, re, do, mi, sol, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, do, re, fa, re, ti, do, do. Terrific, great. Pass these in toward the middle and take out Linden Lee. Oh, that's right. I have it written down. I forgot to say it. And we're going to start with this, sopranos and tenors, just singing the soprano line on da. Because tenors get the melody in the second verse, So, da da da, one and da, da 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 And as I say, tenors then take over in the second verse with the melody, and sopranos get it back in the third verse, the final verse. Now, altos and tenors on your own parts. One and da 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 And be careful of the difference between the A naturals and the A flats, and then those little G flats that suddenly sneak in there. Altos and basses. One and da 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 And there are a couple of places you'll notice in measure 13 and then before it in measure 9 where there's just a little bit of stretching at the breath. Just to give in measure 9, you'll notice that tenors change notes. So we don't want to leave them hanging. So we'll take a little bit of time at the breath there. And then the same thing in measure 13 where altos, tenors, and basses all change notes. So all four parts, with the words, within the woodlands. One and two. Within the woodlands, shaded by the river sea root, And sopranos and basses going on, the second verse. And basses, your part is not quite the same in this verse, and sopranos, you're off in your own world here. So, yes? Oh, yes. Measure 19. A springing, not aspiring. That's my. So bass and soprano. When one and when leaves that lately were a spring, now do fade within the copse, and painted birds do hush their singing upon the tops, and brown fruits are turning red in cloudless sunshine overhead with fruits for me. The apple tree do lean down low in linden tree. And there's a mistake I just saw in the piano part. Just noticed it. This one should be a D flat. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. And altos and sopranos. One and within that we were aspiring, springing, sorry, in the cause. Was there singing the top, and with the ring a in cloudless sunshine overhead with fruits for me, the apple tree do lean down low in linden tree. And if you notice the dynamics in this verse, you'll see that soprano, alto, bass are pianissimo, and tenors are mezzo piano. They're the important ones. So if you can't hear what's happening over here, come down. We're ready. When leaves that lately? One and when leaves that lately were a springing, now do fade within the copse, and painted birds do hush their singing upon the timber tops, and brown leaf fruits are turning red verse 3 is very close to verse 1 in terms of notes. Just a couple of little changes in a couple of places. At the bottom of the page, it's tricky to read the words. And they read, though no man may heed my frowns. So this is in measure 40, where the text just got pushed together. And then in measure 44, or take again my homeward road. To where for me, yes.
And that is 38 is peevish, correct?
Peevish, yes. Let other folk make money faster in the air of dark-roomed towns. I don't dread a peevish master, though no man may heed my frowns. I'd be free to go abroad or take again my homeward road, to where for me the apple tree do lean down low in linden lee. And we go to an alto tenor bass at the end. Sopranos, keep your E of Lee. Ready? Third verse. Pick up to, or the second half of measure 33. Let other folk. Let one and let other folk make money from towns. I don't need a peevish master, for no man may heed my frowns. I'm free to go abroad or take again my homeward road, to where for me the apple tree do lean down in Back at the very beginning, standing up, everybody. Ready? One and up. With the shine. Little stretch and for the tenors, and when leaves that lately were aspiring now do fade within the copse, and painted bird do touch their sea. clouds are turning red in coolest sunshine overhead. When the apple tree do lean down low in linden. Now nice and full. Let though no man may heed crowns, I go free to abroad, or take a pen by the tree to lean down low in All right. Now, before you sit down, the next two pieces we do are the double chorus pieces. We're going to do the Outset Dame Haddon and then the Agnus Dei from the Vaughan Williams Mass in G minor. What I would like us to do is have chorus one come over here. So you gotta note this this week that listed which chorus you should be in, and if not, there's a paper that has it, and you can just look off people right now to find out where you go. So chorus one will be here. Let's have sopranos. Let's have tenors and basses actually in the front, and then sopranos, say, on the outside, and altos on the inside. Yeah, that's good for now. How about both of one?
He said, so they both be choir too, and we'd have no choir
That's
ones right now?
no, we do.
So we have all three.
Oh,
Can we move
how about
Rebecca?
Rebecca? Yes. Can you do choir one? It's the same thing. It just happens before.
Bob and Bob will
All right. So, you notice in this piece, oh, sit down after you sorry. um, just somewhere right in here. And actually, if you want to just sit in the front row is fine, of these chairs as well, depending on where there's room. Um, it's antiphonal. Choir two doesn't always do the same exact thing as choir one, but almost always. Yes?
Can I just mention that on the right-hand page, choir two, sometimes the whole block out the word alto, it's not the soprano continuing on. You need to just write the alto in there. The whole bunch is on the right-hand page, and sometimes really cut out the word alto.
And it should just go straight across. So, we're going to do measures 1 through 8. Choir 1 and choir 2 both sing choir 1 right now, because it's the same exact thing in these 8 measures. So, Yauxit. Yeah, I think, yeah. And we'll have to go, yeah, sort of back and forth. Yalk, sit, dame, her, at a fairly relaxed tempo. 1 and da. Yalk, sit, dame, her, and yalk, sit, dame, her, and and it just happens 2 measures apart, or 1 measure apart. So we're going to start this time with choir 1, and then choir 2. Ready? 1, 2, choir 1. Y'all, choir 2. Y'all, sit, dame, head, and y'all, sit, dame, and and then we're into the next little bit. So let's do that one more time, starting with 1 and then 2 answers. 1, 2, 3. Y'all sit and y'all sit dame. Y'all sit dame. And good. Now, 9, starting at measure 9, we go into 4, and we're going to go 9 through 28. Again, everyone right now singing choir 1. So, yo, 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 yo. And 1, 2. Yo, said dame head and all of them. And dine in dame head and it Freud. And komm vor sein Angesicht, komm vor dein Angesicht, komm vor dein Angesicht. Starting in measure 23, beat 3 of measure 23. This is page 5. Let's see. Yes, on beat 3. Bass, tenor, alto, soprano, and komm vor dein Angesicht mit Frohlocken, mit Frohlocken. Good. Now, when we split into 2 choirs, in measure, we start in measure 9 with choir 1. In measure 11, choir 2 comes in, and the only thing that's different about your part than choir 1 are the first 2 beats, where you just do the notes that they left off on, or leaving off on. And it continues like that throughout. So slowly, choir 1 starting us off in measure 9, second half of 9. Ya, bass, tenor, alto, soprano. 1, 2. Ya, sit, dame, head, and 2. Ya, sit, dame, head, and all over, and dame, head, and it flow, it
vor dein Angesicht, kommt vor dein Angesicht, kommt vor dein Angesicht, kommt vor dein Angesicht, mit Frohlocken, mit Frohlocken, mit Frohlocken. Good. Now, going on from here, again, everyone just on choir 1, because we get pretty much the same thing, and we're going to go through until measure 53, which is on page 11. So starting here, the pickup to measure 29. But a little higher than that. 1, 2, 3. Erkenne das der Herr Gott ist. Hat uns gemacht. 1, 2, 3. Hat uns gemacht. Und nicht mehr selbst, und nicht wir selbst, zu deinem Volk und zu scheiden seine Werte, und zu scheiden seine zu seine Toren eingehen. Good. And back on page 6, the pickup to measure 29, this time with both choruses. Pardon? Yeah, we're starting 29, top of page 6. Sorry if I said the wrong one. Pick up to measure 29. 1, 2, 3. Scheiden seine Werte, gegen seinen Toren ein, gegen seinen Toren ein. Then, again, everyone on choir 1, starting there, the middle of measure 53, mid and up, mid. Starting that again, sorry. Mid, bass, tenor, alto, soprano. 1, 2, mid. Mit Loben, Good, and back to measure 53 with both choirs now. Mid, 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 mid. 1, 2. Mid. Oh, mid. Oh, and shoot. Mitloben, Mitloben, Mitloben. Going on, 1 and a. Donket im, donket im, donket im. Then we're into something a little different. But those 4 measures there are pretty much just the same as what we had in the beginning. Ooh. Oh, thank you very much. I will include that in the notes. If you find any typos, please let me know. Send me an email or something so I can get them out to everybody. My typing is not always the most reliable.
Tell the rest of us what that was.
Mm-hmm.
It was what the choir 2 measured 71.
Yeah, the bass part has an E-M instead of an A-N. Going on in measure 72, and we're going to go through to the beginning of page 21, everyone on choir 1. Again, we're into the little trading back and forth. So everyone on choir 1, starting in measure 72. Lo, 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 dee da, and lo, bene, na, and lo, bet seinen Namen, lo, bet deinen Namen. Denn der ist freundlich, ist freundlich uns ewig, and und seine Wahrheit viel und seine Wahrheit viel und seine Wahrheit and back to measure 72, this time with both choirs going together. Lo, 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 lo. 2, 3, and lo, bet seinen Namen. Lo, bet seinen Namen. Lo, bet seinen Namen. Denn ist freundlich uns und sein Vater Gnade wird ewig und seine Wahrheit wird und seine Wahrheit wird und All right, turn back to the very beginning. And if you have listened to this or practiced it with the things that are on the website, you'll notice that it goes much quicker eventually. It bounces along, but for now we'll keep it at a relaxed tempo. Yo, 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 yo. 1, 2, 3. Yo, sit down. Yo, sit down. Yo, sit down. 1, 2. Yo, sit down, Herren. Jag sett dem Herren alle Welt. Mit Freude kommt dein Angesicht, kommt für dein Angesicht. Mit Frohlocken, mit Frohlocken, hat uns gemacht, hat uns gemacht, unser Wesen. Zu deinem Volk. Und zu scheiden seine Werte. Gehet dem seinen Toren Toren, gehet dem seinen Toren ein. Mit Loben, mit Loben, mit Loben, mit Loben, and danket ihm, danket ihm, danket ihm, Loben, Loben, deinen Namen. Loben Namen, loben, loben seinen Namen. Ist freundlich und seine Gnade werdet ewig und seine Wahrheit wird und And then we get into the final little bit. Good. All right. turn to the Mass in G minor, the Agnus Dei, and we'll start in measure 6. And this is both choirs together to begin with. You can see that the top 4 voices are solo voices, or it might be a small choir, don't know which yet. But starting in measure 6, sopranos and altos. And we're in 2-2 here. So the half note gets the beat. Agnus Dei qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. And you'll see that this is one of those places where we get a change in meter, but no change in the pulse. So, Agnus Dei qui, ready, soprano, alto. 1 and da. Agnus Dei qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. And then it goes up to, careful, the F sharp and the G sharp there. Yes. Yeah, so altos, just listen to that last miserere, altos and sopranos. So you go way into that, way up on that F sharp there, and then to the G sharp the beat after. Ready? Agnus Dei, soprano, alto. 1 and 2. Agnus Dei qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. Yes. So, just that miserere nobis altos. Miserere. Ready? 1 and da. Miserere. That's it. One more time. Mi and go. Miserere nobis. With the sopranos. 1 and da. Miserere nobis. And tenor bass. Pick up to 6. Tenor bass. 1 and da. Agnus Dei qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. Good. One more time, tenor bass. Tenor bass. 1 and da. Agnus Dei qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere se re nobis. All four parts. Bass, tenor, alto, soprano. One and da. Juste qui tollis peccata mundi miserere. Good. Now just turn over to the next page. Pick up into page 5. So pick up into measure number 18. Bass and tenor. One and ga. On juste qui tollis peccata mundi. And sopranos and altos. One and da. Juste qui tollis peccata mundi. Bass, tenor, alto, soprano. One and da. On juste qui tollis peccata mundi. And then we're off quickly. Now, measure 23, sopranos and tenors. And this is still both choirs together. Do, sopranos, and one. Do, do, la, do, nobis pacem. And then we rest and then come back in 33. So soprano and tenor. Do and one. Do, no, mi, pacem. And basses and altos, starting back in measure 26. Do and one. Do, pacem. Rest, 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 rest. One more measure and da. Do, la, nobis pacem. All four parts together, starting with sopranos. Do and one. Do, not tenor. Do, bass. Do, not alto. Is pacem. And one. Do, la, nobis pacem, pacem. Make sure we're way up on the B natural altos. And here, we now split into the two choruses. So, starting in measure 38, chorus 1, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, ready? Measure 30, sorry, not 31, 38, sorry. Tenor, bass, tenor, alto, soprano, and 1. Do, la, nobis pace. One more time, and 1. Do, la, nobis pace. 2, going on, chorus 2, and do, alto, soprano, and chorus 1, do, la, do. Now then here, on this last page, we go into 12 parts. But if you notice, basses, you have the same part in both choirs, except for the first 2 measures. Choir 1, you're up an octave, but it's the same notes. Tenors are different the entire time, except the last 3 measures. Altos are different, except again for the last 4 measures. And sopranos are different until the last 3 measures. So, let's go from choir 1, measure 52, the second beat of 52, which is page 12, second measure, and then we'll go right into the next page, measure 55, with all 8 parts. So both choirs there. Do, bass, tenor, alto, soprano up on the D, and 1. Do, la, do, and do, nobis, altos, pace. So on the end of page 12, we have a huge crescendo from pianissimo up to forte, and then a big decrescendo back down to pianissimo in the last measure. Back at the very beginning of the whole Agnus Dei, and we'll go right through, even though ignore the solo parts that come in other than to hear where they are. So the soloists start us off. Agnus Dei, qui tollis peccata. Oh yes, sorry. Sorry. And 1 and Agnus, qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis, and Agnus, qui tollis one and Agnus Dei, qui tollis peccata mundi. Agnus Dei, qui tollis peccata and soprano. Tenor. Do. Bass. Do. Alto. Cem. Do. No. Nobis pacem. And. Do. Nobis pacem, qui tollis peccata, and chorus one, do, nobis Agnus Dei, qui tollis peccata, and do, and build to a B. Good. When we do both of the double choir pieces, we will situate the choirs so that there's a big gap between you. So we really get to hear the different sounds coming. Maybe we can even experiment when we get into space. There are sort of side areas of that church that maybe we can actually use the two different sides so you're sort of going at one another, especially in the Jauchzet dem Herrn. So head back to your regular places now. We're going to do the Dexter. Just a little bit in the middle. Made it down. I don't know about getting up. All right. Now, a slight change in both the rehearsal plan that was sent out and the concert repertoire. The more I looked at the piece that is listed next, the Fauns and Satyrs Tripping, the more I realized that though we could do it, it would also mean spending an inordinate amount of time on it, perhaps to the detriment of the other pieces. It is very tricky. So we are actually going to take that out of the program. We still have plenty of music without it. So you can dispose of that, put it into recycling. The Fauns and Satyrs Tripping, which is the Christopher Tye piece. I think it's the, I forget what number piece it is in the folder. And what we're going to do right now is spend just a little bit of time with the Dextera Domini, doing some of the parts that we have not yet looked at. Starting in measure number 68, which is on page 7 in the vocal scores. Dextera Domini, yes. So page 7, and it's a small group that leads us into this, a small ensemble, and then we all come back in measure 68 with the altos and the tenors. So alto and tenor right there at et noro. Ready, and 1. Et noro opera Domini. One more time, and 1. Et noro opera. And alto, sopranos and basses, starting in 69 et narabo. And da. Et narabo opera domi. One more time, and et narabo opera dom. In all 4 parts there, and starting with soprano alto, or alto tenor, sorry, and 1. One more time, and 1. Sorry. And 1. And starting with altos and tenors at the last measure of this page, and 1. Et narabo opera Domini, opera Domini. And tenors, you're missing a tie between measure 78 and 79. Sorry about that. Same thing. Measure 76. Oh, and 1. Et narabo opera Domini, opera Domini. And basses and sopranos, starting in measure 77, and 1 bass, soprano, opera Domini, opera Domini. One more time, and bass, soprano, narabo, opera Domini, opera Domini. Good, and all 4 parts, starting with altos, tenors, and 1. Yeah, sorry. And 1. Good, and going on, Sopranos, Alleluia. And Alleluia. 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 Domini feci virtutem Alleluia, Alleluia. Good. And altos, starting in measure 91 and Alleluia, 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 Alleluia. Domini fecit virtutem. And tenors, starting in measure 95 and Alleluia, 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 Alleluia. All three parts, starting with sopranos and altos. Going on, tenors and basses, bass and Alleluia, 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 Alleluia. Virtutem Alleluia. Dextera Domini, Dextera. And then we get, he takes sort of a circuitous route of finding our way back to the key of B flat. Sort of brings us all different ways to get there. We're going to leave this now because before we do some announcements at the end, I want us to run through the Laudate Nomen Domini. This is the one-pager. Remember, we start out forte, and I added, I think I sent this out in the notes. On the second page in measure 14, pick up into 15, starting with the tenors. The first time through will be to mezzo forte, and the second time will be a double forte. So what we'll do is from the beginning of that second section, we start out piano, then we go to mezzo forte, then the repeat is forte to a double forte when we get to the little contrapuntal section. But starting out nice full forte, La, la, alto, soprano, la, bass, tenor, alto, soprano. One and laudate nomen Evo, evo, piano. Laudate nomen Domini. Amor, amor, amor. And take. And mezzo forte, laudo, laudo, laudo. And de creo Dei duistet et provident lauda, lauda, lauda te. Good. Now that we've reminded ourselves of it, standing up, and let's not let the piano get quite so piano. So soft, but lots of energy. La, bass, tenor, alto, soprano. One and loud. Abor, abor, abor. And echoing. Laudate nomen Domini. Amor, 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 amor. Lauda, lauda, lauda. All right, terrific. And we'll slow down just a little bit at the end there to sort of set it in. We have a bunch of announcements. I'm going to start with one that I will be sending you out a notification of something coming up in the next weekend. Next weekend, we were part during the first year of the pandemic of the driveway choir bit that we did. And the people who put together a documentary on it, which has been showing around the country. It has won some awards already, and has been chosen to be a part of a number of film festivals. One of them is coming up this this Saturday. What was it? The something seal. What was it? The Lonely Seal Film Festival, which is at the Regent Theater in Arlington. So I will send you out information about it. It's a neat thing. For those of you who were a part of it, it really was kind of a cool experience. Strange, but fun. And this husband and wife, for those of you who weren't around, they put together, from a technical standpoint, a way of broadcasting the music, the accompaniment that was being played through your car's radio, and everyone had a microphone that was in their car with them. And they recorded what you did, and then mixed it together. And we have recordings of the pieces we did. We did four pieces in the course of just about an hour, I think it was. And it was the first time in probably almost a year since we had actually been able to hear one another.
Yeah.
And they did a documentary on this, which is really quite fun. Linda shows up at one point in it, talking about what we were doing. I'm toward the end of it. Again, we're both on for probably about 30 seconds each or so, maybe 45. But it's a really neat thing. So I will send out the information about that. They got in touch with us and just said, please share that this is happening. So you will get information about that, as well as some other things.
Okay, so I really only have one main announcement tonight. It's something I really should have been reminding us about in previous weeks. We are still looking for someone to step up and take over from Sarah Smith the job of producing our concert posters / flyers, whatever you want to call them. So if you're someone with some creative knowledge, some creative outlet that you haven't been able to do lately and want an easy, quick, 3-time-a-year job, please let me know. Sarah's also willing to chat with people who are interested to find out more about how much time it takes. But basically, it's just designing a poster for us to be able to put up and put out there. And we need to start thinking about getting those out for our November concerts. So if you're looking for a way to, a low-stakes way to get into helping out a little bit more, and you've got some design experience, or you just are creative and think you have design experience, that's fine. Let me know, let Sarah know, and we'll be happy to have you help us out. Other than that, I don't have anything else personally tonight, but I know Bob has some things he wants to say, and I think Linda also has something. No, okay, just Bob.
So I think you all know that we're in the middle of our ad campaign, and I think at least half of us have volunteered to make contacts, which represents about 20, has about 40 businesses and organizations. So they've started coming back to us, the forms and the checks, sometimes one without the other. It's sort of like the shuttle coming through space. We send it out there and then we're waiting for this period for them to come back. And if you've contacted people already, that's great. It might not hurt if you just contacted them again and say, have you submitted your form and check? Because we haven't got a lot of them. We're, I think, 4 weeks into the campaign. We've only got 12 more days. Nina would like to have everything back, and Sandra, by October 15th. So we don't have a lot of time. So those of you who have handed out the packets, could you try to check with people and give them a subtle push if they haven't submitted stuff? If you have people in your packet that you have not had a chance to contact yet, now's a good time. The clock is running. If you're having any issues, you can't reach somebody, or maybe you don't have time, some of you, let me know, and I can either reassign it or I'll take on some of that myself. So any questions about the campaign or things you've encountered? All right, well, thank you all for doing that. This helps us immensely in terms of having funding for the organization. And now, if you have any questions afterward, I'll hang around. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Is there a question? No.
Thank you, everybody, and watch for more information as well as the notes coming out.
So I'm in this anti-racist committee thing, and they promised they'd put me on first, but they didn't. And everybody else could meet on Monday night except me. So that's when the meetings are. So that's where I was tonight. I'm trying not to do this anymore.
I understand. It gets crazy.
And I think I do know the music somewhat.
It's pretty.
Wonderful. You did a great job.
Thank
I
you.
love all this stuff.
Thank you. It's.
I can't wait to hear if the shits is the one I know.
Oh yeah.
Did you do this tonight?
We did the outset. Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's on. There's a link to a recording on the website, so you can check it out
Okay.
there and see if it
Okay,
sounds
yeah.
like
If
what
it
you
is,
remember.
I remember it. Actually, I think what we did was a magnificent. But anyway, I'm sure I like this.
I do too. Though it's funny, there are some people who just
Oh, I know.
just do not. Thank you very much. Some people just, for whatever reason, don't like Schutz. Marty Perlman with Boston Parole. I asked him once, why didn't we ever do Schutz? And he said, I don't know what it is, and I don't like it. And he said, and I can't tell you what it is about it. But there was just something that he didn't go for, which, you know, with the wide variety of stuff that he programmed, some of which I listened to and thought, why are we doing this? There was one in particular, we did a whole concert of Moravian music, which was beautiful, but not really, it's their own, their own language. And I think what they were hoping, that was one of the ones that the recording company sort of pressured us into. And I think they were hoping that we would get something like Boston Camerata did when they did all of those shaker tunes and just had this huge selling, which we were already selling pretty well. So they didn't need that. I mean, we were doing really well at that point.